The massive survey ship Stellar Observer hung silently at the edge of the Sol system. Its pale blue hull glinted in the distant sunlight as its sensors probed the third planet from the sun. Inside the ship's main research chamber, Administrator Thomas rubbed his scaled forehead in confusion. "Run the scan again," he ordered the ship's eye. His tail twitched nervously as he stared at the readings flooding the holographic displays. "This is the 7th scan, Administrator," the eye replied. The readings remained consistent. Thomas walked around the circular display, his clawed feet clicking against the metal floor. In his 30 years of planetary classification, he had never seen anything like this. The numbers made no sense. "A nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere," he muttered. "That's highly reactive and unstable. And these temperature swings. How can anything survive ranging from -60 to +50 degrees in the same regions?" He tapped another display showing the planet's gravity readings, 1.2 standard units. That's far too high for complex life. Yet the scan showed not just life, but an abundance of it. The door slid open with a soft hiss. "Administrator, you needed to see me." Medical Officer Ray entered, his white coat contrasting with his green-tinted skin. "Yes, look at these biological readings," Thomas gestured to the screens. "Are we sure the sensors aren't malfunctioning?" Ray studied the data, his large eyes widening. "Impossible. These readings show thousands of large predator species, the energy requirements alone." "Exactly," Thomas nodded. "And look at this. Their oceans contain massive creatures, some over 30 meters long. The pressure at those depths should crush anything that size." The two researchers fell silent as more data poured in. The planet's crust was unstable, constantly shifting and causing devastating earthquakes. Massive storms regularly battered the continents. The magnetic field was so strong it should be disrupting all electronic equipment. "Wait," Ray pointed at a new reading. "Is that artificial satellites?" Thomas enlarged the display. "Yes, thousands of them. This death trap of a planet has intelligent life." They watched in amazement as radio signals and digital transmissions poured in from the surface. Images and videos showed the dominant species, bipedal creatures that called themselves humans. "Look at them," Ray whispered. "They're building cities right on top of geological fault lines. Their population centers are in flood zones and tornado regions. They're even settling in deserts and Arctic areas." Thomas started organizing the data into a formal classification report. Extreme gravity, atmospheric pressure variations, deadly radiation levels, aggressive predators, natural disasters, climate extremes. He looked up at Ray. "This is beyond a level 14 Deathworld." "Level 15, Ray suggested. "At least." Thomas began marking critical points in his report. "They have regular storms that can flatten entire cities. Their oceans have waves taller than our ship. The planet's very core is a spinning ball of molten metal." The ship's AI interrupted them. "Administrator, I'm detecting something concerning from the surface. More problems. The humans, they appear to be deliberately seeking out the most dangerous areas of their planet. I'm seeing recreational activities in avalanche zones, deep ocean diving, and willing exposure to extreme conditions." Thomas added this to his notes. "Any species that not only survives these conditions, but actively seeks them out for entertainment needs special classification. We'll need to assemble a specialized first contact team." Ray looked worried. "The Council won't like this. A level 15 classification will require completely new protocols. We've never encountered a sapient species that evolved in such extreme conditions." "We don't have a choice," Thomas said, finalizing his report. "This planet breaks every rule we know about habitable worlds. These humans—" He paused, watching a video of people calmly walking through a snowstorm. "They're either the toughest species we've ever encountered, or they're completely insane." The Stellar Observer began its journey back to Council space, carrying a report that would shock the galactic community. Earth wasn't just a death world. It was a planet that defied explanation. home to a species that turned deadly conditions into opportunities for growth. The Grand Council chamber fell into complete silence as Administrator Thomas finished uploading his report. The massive circular room, filled with representatives from over 300 species, had never been this quiet before. High Counselor Grant, an ancient being with crystalline skin, leaned forward on his floating platform. "Administrator, are you absolutely certain about these readings?" "Yes, High Counselor," Thomas replied, his tail perfectly still to show his seriousness. "We ran the scans multiple times. The planet designated as Earth defies everything we know about habitable worlds." The holographic display in the center of the chamber showed Earth rotating slowly. Red markers highlighted its most dangerous features, which seemed to cover almost the entire planet. "Let me understand this correctly," spoke Representative White, her feathered crest rising in agitation. "This planet has active volcanoes that can darken their skies for years." "Yes," Thomas confirmed, "and the humans build cities near them." "Cities? Near volcanoes?" several voices exclaimed at once. Medical Officer Ray stepped forward. "That's not even the most surprising part. These humans deliberately live in areas where the air temperature can freeze their water-based bodies solid. Yet they've developed technologies to not just survive, but thrive in these conditions." The chamber erupted in murmurs. The Level 15 classification was almost unheard of. Most council species had evolved on worlds classified between Level 3 and Level 8. "Show them the predator data," Thomas whispered to Ray. Ray nodded and changed the display. "Earth's oceans contain creatures that could swallow our small transport ships whole. Their lands have animals that can kill with a single bite. Even their smallest life forms, they call them bacteria and viruses, are constantly trying to kill them. And yet they survived," asked High Counselor Grant. "Survived?" Thomas gave what his species considered a laugh. "They became the apex predators of their entire world. They've developed immunities and technologies to combat these threats. But here's what's truly remarkable." He switched to a new set of images. The chamber's atmosphere shifted from shock to disbelief as they watched humans participating in various activities. People skiing down steep mountain slopes, diving into deep oceans, climbing sheer cliff faces, and running through scorching deserts. "They call these activities sports and adventures," Ray explained. "They do these things for fun." "Impossible," shouted Representative White. "No rational species would deliberately seek out such dangers." Thomas displayed more data. "Their bodies have evolved to handle these extreme conditions. They can repair broken bones, regenerate damaged tissues, and adapt to almost any environment. Their endurance capabilities exceed anything we've recorded before." "How did they achieve spaceflight in these conditions?" someone asked from the upper tiers. "That's another remarkable thing," Thomas replied. "They developed spaceflight despite their planet's crushing gravity. Their early space vessels were basically controlled explosions powerful enough to escape their world's gravitational pull. The amount of force required would have killed any of our species." High Counselor Grant raised his crystalline hand for silence. "This presents us with an unprecedented situation. Our standard first contact protocols were not designed for a species this resilient." "There's more," Ray added hesitantly. "Based on their entertainment media, they've been expecting alien contact for centuries. They have countless scenarios planned out, ranging from peaceful exchange to defensive measures." The chamber grew quiet again as the implications sank in. A species that evolved on a Level 15 Deathworld would have defensive capabilities far beyond normal parameters. "We must proceed carefully," High Counselor Grant decided. "A species that considers such extreme conditions normal could react unpredictably to standard diplomatic approaches." Thomas nodded in agreement. "My recommendation is to assemble a specialized contact team. We need representatives who can handle higher gravity and environmental stresses. Most importantly, we need individuals who won't panic when they see humans casually dealing with conditions that would kill most of us instantly." The council chamber buzzed with excited discussion. They had discovered something unprecedented. A species that didn't just survive in extreme conditions, but one that had turned those very conditions into advantages. The galaxy was about to change forever. Ambassador Richard walked through the corridors of the diplomatic preparation station, reviewing the files on his tablet. After 30 years of handling first contact situations, he thought he had seen everything. But preparing to meet humans was proving to be a unique challenge. "Ambassador," a voice called from behind. He turned to see Dr. Bell hurrying toward him, her protective environment suit whirring with each step. As a species evolved in low gravity, she needed the suit to survive in the station's standard gravity. "The medical team has finished their simulations," she reported. "It's not good news." Richard sighed. "What's the problem now?" "We can't match Earth's conditions in our training facilities. The combination of gravity, atmospheric pressure, and temperature variations is beyond our engineering capabilities." They entered the main preparation chamber where the rest of the first contact team was assembling. 20 individuals from different species, all chosen for their experience with harsh environments. None of them looked comfortable. "Listen up," Richard addressed the team. "We've just received updated data about our landing zone. The humans have suggested a place they call the Australian Outback as a suitable meeting point." He displayed a holographic map. "They claim this is one of their more moderate regions." Security Chief Ross, covered in protective scales, snorted. "Moderate? The daily temperature swing is enough to kill half the species in this room. And have you seen the list of venomous creatures in that area?" "That's exactly why we're going there," Richard explained. "The humans are trying to be considerate. They chose a location away from their major population centers, with what they consider minimal environmental hazards." The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. What humans considered minimal hazards would be classified as extreme dangers on most worlds. "Let's review our preparation checklist," Dr. Bell said, bringing up another display. "Everyone needs to complete at least 50 hours in the gravity chambers. We've set them to 1.2 standard units, matching Earth's pull. The atmospheric team has created a simulation of Earth's nitrogen-oxygen mix," she continued. "You'll need to prove you can function in it for at least 24 hours. And yes, it's highly reactive, so your protective gear must be perfect." Richard watched his team's reactions. They were the best the galaxy had to offer, but even they looked nervous. "Remember, we're not just dealing with the environment. We're meeting a species that considers all of this normal." He played a video showing humans going about their daily lives. The team watched in amazement as children played in weather conditions that would require emergency evacuations on most worlds. "Our biggest challenge isn't just surviving Earth's conditions," Richard emphasized. "It's understanding a species that evolved to thrive in them. These humans don't see their world as dangerous. To them, we might appear fragile or overcautious." Security Chief Ross raised a clawed hand. "What about their physical capabilities? The preliminary reports are concerning." "Good question," Richard nodded. "Humans can accidentally kill most species with a friendly pat on the back. Their bones are dense enough to survive falls that would shatter our skeletons. They can recover from injuries that would be fatal to us. How do we defend against them if something goes wrong?" Someone asked from the back. "We don't," Richard said firmly. "Our mission is diplomatic, not defensive. If humans wanted to harm us, no defense we could devise would be effective. They've evolved on a world that tries to kill them every day, and they've survived." Dr. Bell added, "Remember your cultural training. Humans value what they call courage and determination. The best way to earn their respect is to show we can adapt to their world, even if we need technological help to do it." The team spent the next few hours reviewing their equipment. Each member would be encased in a personal environmental suit designed to withstand Earth's conditions. The suits cost more than some small spaceships, but they were necessary for survival. As Richard watched his team prepare, he couldn't help but wonder what other surprises Earth would have in store for them. They were about to meet a species that called a Level 15 Deathworld home, and somehow, he suspected their preparations would still fall short. The diplomatic ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its heat shields glowing orange against the morning sky. Inside, Ambassador Richard and his team checked their environmental suits one final time. The Australian outback spread out below them, a vast red landscape that their sensors indicated was already reaching temperatures lethal to most galactic species. "Landing zone in sight," announced the pilot. "Local time is 8:30 a.m. External temperature is, by the stars, it's already 35 degrees Celsius and rising." Through the view screen, they could see a small human delegation waiting near the designated landing area. What shocked the alien team wasn't the formal greeting party, but the human children playing in the background, running and laughing in conditions that should have been unbearable. "They're not wearing environmental protection," Dr. Bell whispered in disbelief. "Not even the young ones." The ship landed with a soft thud, kicking up red dust. The team waited as their airlock cycled through decontamination protocols. Security Chief Ross monitored the external sensors, his scales bristling. "Sir, I'm detecting multiple dangerous life forms in the vicinity," he reported. "Something called a brown snake, highly venomous, several arachnid species that could kill with a single bite, and the local bacteria count is off the charts." "Yet the humans are just standing there, smiling," Richard observed. "Remember, everyone, what's lethal to us is normal for them." The delegation stepped out onto Earth's surface. Despite their advanced environmental suits, they could feel the crushing gravity and intense heat. A human child pointed at them and laughed, probably amused by their protective gear. The human leader stepped forward. A man named Director Walker. He wore what appeared to be simple cloth coverings, completely exposed to the elements. "Welcome to Earth," he said warmly. "I hope our choice of location meets your requirements for a safe meeting place." Richard's translator processed the words, and he had to prevent himself from laughing hysterically at the word safe. His sensors were screaming warnings about radiation levels from the local star, atmospheric toxins, and countless biological hazards. "The location is suitable," Richard managed to reply diplomatically. A sudden movement caused several team members to jump. A large bird had swooped down nearby, snatching one of the countless poisonous creatures in its claws before flying off. The humans didn't even seem to notice. Director Walker gave them a tour of the small research station they'd set up. The aliens watched in amazement as humans casually handled equipment that should have been too heavy to move in this gravity. A young researcher was examining one of the deadly snakes, holding it with bare hands while taking notes. "Would you like some water?" a human assistant offered, holding out bottles of clear liquid. "It's quite hot today." "Hot," Dr. Bell muttered. "The surface temperature has risen to levels that would boil the blood of most known species." The tour was interrupted by a distant rumbling. The alien delegation froze in panic as they detected massive seismic activity. An earthquake. Yet the humans continued their conversations as if nothing was happening. "Oh, that's just a minor tremor," Director Walker explained, noticing their concern. "Nothing to worry about. This region is geologically quite stable compared to our coastal areas." Richard made a mental note to avoid what humans considered geologically unstable areas. The day continued with more surprises. They watched humans eat food that their scanners identified as containing compounds that would be toxic to most species. Children played games that involved voluntarily running in the scorching heat. A local farmer drove past on a vehicle loaded with wool. Apparently humans kept other creatures as livestock in these conditions. As the first day of contact drew to a close, Richard gathered his team inside their environmentally controlled ship. Everyone looked exhausted from operating in Earth's gravity. "Well," he said, reviewing his notes, "I think it's safe to say we underestimated them. These humans don't just survive here. They've made this Deathworld into a paradise by their standards." Security Chief Ross nodded gravely. "And this is what they consider a safe, stable region. Imagine what their dangerous areas are like." The team fell silent, contemplating what they'd witnessed. They had come prepared to meet survivors of a harsh world, but instead, they'd found masters of it. The second week of the diplomatic mission brought more shocking discoveries for the alien delegation. They had relocated to a facility near what humans call the Rocky Mountains for continued cultural exchange. Ambassador Richard stood at the viewing window of their protected environment dome, watching a group of humans climbing a sheer cliff face. "They're doing it again," he called out to Dr. Bell, who was analyzing data nearby. "More humans are deliberately scaling that vertical rock formation, without protective equipment." "Actually, they are using safety gear," Dr. Bell corrected him, adjusting her gravity compensators. "Though what they consider safety equipment is just thin ropes and harnesses. Our scans show the temperature at that altitude is near freezing. Wind speeds are dangerous, and the oxygen levels are significantly lower." Richard shook his head in disbelief. "And they call this recreation." Their conversation was interrupted by Director Walker, who entered the room with several tablets. "I've brought some information about human sports and leisure activities as requested." He started displaying images that made the alien observers step back in shock. "This is surfing, riding ocean waves that could crush a small vehicle. Here's skydiving, jumping from high altitudes for fun. This is cave diving, exploring underwater caves with limited oxygen supply. Oh, and this is ultra-marathon running, moving continuously for up to 100 kilometers, sometimes in desert conditions." Security Chief Ross, who had just entered, made a choking sound. "Are these punishment activities for criminals?" Director Walker laughed. "No, people pay money to do these things. They train for years to accomplish these challenges." The aliens exchanged bewildered looks. Their classification systems couldn't account for a species that actively sought out deadly conditions for entertainment. "There's more," Director Walker continued, pulling up new images. "These are some of our extreme environment researchers. Here's our deep-sea exploration team. They study life forms at crushing depths. These scientists live in Antarctica for months, studying the ice and temperatures that freeze most liquids solid." Dr. Bell's instruments began beeping rapidly as she scanned the new data. "This can't be correct. According to these readings, humans can survive without food for weeks, can go days without water, and can recover from injuries that would be fatal to most species." "Oh yes," Walker nodded casually. "Human bodies are quite adaptable. We can survive extreme blood loss, regrow damaged tissues, and even recover from some types of brain injuries. Our immune systems can fight off most diseases, and our bodies can adjust to almost any environment given enough time." Richard felt his professional composure slipping. "Director Walker, I must ask, do humans fear anything?" Walker thought for a moment. "We fear plenty of things, but fear doesn't stop us. Actually, some humans specifically seek out things they fear to overcome them. We call it facing your fears. It's considered a positive trait." Just then, a young human researcher burst into the room excitedly. "Director, we've detected a Category 2 avalanche forming on the north face. Permission to deploy the research team." "Granted," Walker replied, "but take the new safety equipment this time." The alien delegation watched in horror as a team of humans actually ran toward the dangerous snow formation, carrying scientific instruments and wearing what appeared to be woefully inadequate protection. "Should we call your emergency services?" Ross asked urgently. Walker smiled. "Those are our emergency services. They study avalanches to better understand and predict them. It helps us make the mountains safer for recreation." As the day progressed, the alien team had to revise their reports multiple times. Earth wasn't just a level 15 Deathworld. It had produced a species that turned deadly conditions into opportunities for advancement, entertainment, and scientific discovery. Richard made his final notes for the day. Humanity's greatest strength may not be their physical adaptations to their deadly world, but their ability to see challenges where others see only dangers. They don't just survive. They explore, they experiment, they push boundaries. Perhaps that's what makes them truly unique in the galaxy. The diplomatic meetings were proceeding smoothly until the humans' weather monitoring systems detected something approaching. Ambassador Richard noticed the sudden increase in activity among the human staff at their coastal facility in what they called Florida. "We're tracking a Category 5 hurricane," Director Walker announced during their morning briefing. "It will make landfall in approximately 48 hours. The alien delegation immediately began emergency evacuation procedures. Dr. Bell's environmental suit whirred frantically as she rushed to pack her equipment. "We must leave immediately. Our ships cannot withstand such atmospheric disturbances." But the humans weren't evacuating. Instead, they were setting up additional equipment and monitoring stations. "You're staying?" Security Chief Ross asked in disbelief. "Our sensors indicate wind speeds that could lift vehicles off the ground and enough water to submerge entire structures." Director Walker nodded calmly. "Most coastal residents will evacuate, yes, but our research teams need to study the hurricane up close. Understanding these storms helps us better predict and prepare for them." Richard watched in amazement as humans rushed about with purpose rather than panic. Some were securing buildings, others were setting up what they called emergency shelters, and a team of weather researchers was actually preparing to fly into the hurricane. "Fly into it," Dr. Bell exclaimed. "The storm will tear your aircraft apart." "Oh, we've specially designed these planes for hurricane research," a human scientist explained cheerfully. "We call them hurricane hunters. The data they collect is invaluable." As the storm approached, most of the alien delegation retreated to their reinforced ships in orbit. Only Richard and a few others stayed behind in their protected bunker to observe how humans handled this crisis. The hurricane arrived with incredible force. Trees bent sideways, debris flew through the air, and waves taller than buildings crashed against the coast. But the humans remained focused and organized. Through their monitors, they watched human emergency teams, called first responders, venture out into the storm to rescue people who hadn't evacuated in time. Medical personnel worked tirelessly and hospitals running on backup power. Weather scientists continued collecting data even as their instruments were battered by the storm. "Look at this," Ross said, pointing to their sensors. "They're using boats to reach flooded areas. They're driving special vehicles through water that's deep enough to drown in. They're cutting through fallen trees while more could fall at any moment." Richard observed the humans' crisis response with growing respect. They're not just surviving the crisis. They're actively working to protect others and learn from it. The storm raged for hours. When it finally passed, the aliens expected to find devastation and chaos. Instead, they witnessed something remarkable: immediate recovery efforts. Humans emerged from their shelters and began cleaning up debris. Power repair crews worked to restore electricity. Medical teams treated the injured. Construction workers began rebuilding damaged structures. Even children helped by collecting fallen branches and checking on elderly neighbors. "Your people are remarkably resilient," Richard told Director Walker as they surveyed the damage. "Most species would be traumatized by such an event." Walker shrugged. "Hurricanes are just part of life here. We rebuild, we improve our preparations, and we go on." Actually, communities often grow stronger after facing disasters together. The alien delegation's final report on this incident noted several crucial observations. Humans had developed extensive systems to predict and monitor deadly weather phenomena. Instead of merely avoiding danger, they studied it to better understand it. Their emergency response showed remarkable coordination and bravery. The human capacity for rebuilding and recovery exceeded all known species. Most surprisingly, they viewed natural disasters as opportunities for scientific research and community bonding. As Richard filed the report, he added a personal note. "Perhaps this is what truly makes Earth a Level 15 Deathworld. Not just its deadly conditions, but the fact that it produced a species that faces such dangers with curiosity rather than fear, and meets disasters with determination rather than defeat. The Grand Council chamber was packed beyond capacity. Representatives from every known civilization had come to witness Earth's formal recognition in the galactic community. Ambassador Richard stood beside Director Walker, both preparing to address the assembly. High Counselor Grant's crystalline form shimmered as he called the session to order. We are here today to discuss humanity's status in the galaxy. The Classification Committee has reviewed all reports from the diplomatic mission to Earth. Administrator Thomas, please present your final assessment. Thomas stepped forward, his tail perfectly straight with professional pride. After extensive study, we recommend upgrading Earth's classification to level 16. It is not just the planet's conditions that exceed our previous metrics, it is humanity's relationship with their environment that breaks all known paradigms. The chamber erupted in excited whispers. A level 16 classification had never been awarded before. Evidence shows, Thomas continued, that humans don't merely survive their death world. They have mastered it in ways we never imagined possible. They turn lethal conditions into scientific opportunities. They see deadly challenges as chances for entertainment. They meet disasters with innovation. Dr. Bell presented the next part of the report, her environmental suit now modified with human-inspired improvements. Their medical capabilities are extraordinary. They can replace lost limbs with mechanical ones, repair damaged organs, and even alter their own genetic code. Their bodies can adapt to almost any environment we've discovered. Security Chief Ross added his findings. Their problem-solving abilities are unlike anything we've seen. When faced with an obstacle, humans don't just look for a way around it. They try to understand it, master it, and often find a way to use it to their advantage. The Council watched footage from the diplomatic mission. Humans rock climbing, deep sea diving, flying into storms, and rebuilding after disasters. Activities that would be considered suicidal by most species were routine challenges for humanity. High Counselor Grant addressed Director Walker. Your species has qualities we desperately need in our galaxy. Your ability to survive and thrive in extreme conditions, combined with your drive to explore and understand, makes you uniquely qualified for tasks that have long troubled us. Walker smiled. We're happy to help, though I should warn you, we tend to get excited about new challenges. Indeed, Richard added. During our mission, I learned that the only thing more remarkable than Earth's deadly conditions is humanity's enthusiastic approach to dealing with them. The Council proceeded with the formal recognition ceremony, but instead of the usual protocols for integrating a new species, they created an entirely new category for humanity: crisis response and extreme environment specialists. Immediately, requests began pouring in from various worlds. A water world needed deep-sea installation repairs. A high-gravity planet required mining operation experts. A storm-ravaged system wanted help designing weather prediction systems. Several worlds requested human emergency response trainers. There is one concern. A council member spoke up. Won't these assignments be too dangerous for humans? The chamber fell silent as Walker tried to hide his amusement. With all due respect, he replied, most of these conditions sound rather mild compared to what we deal with on Earth, though we'd love to study how your planet's challenges differ from ours. As the session concluded, Richard watched humans eagerly discussing potential missions with various alien representatives. In just a few months, humanity had gone from being viewed as natives of a terrifying death world to being the galaxy's go-to species for handling tough situations. You know what's really interesting? Walker said to Richard as they left the chamber. All these things that make us special in the galaxy. Our adaptability, our curiosity, our determination. They're just basic human nature to us. We developed these traits because Earth never gave us an easy option. Richard nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps that's the true meaning of Earth's level 16 classification. It's not just about surviving in extreme conditions. It's about turning those very conditions into the foundation of your strength. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity's greatest challenges would become their greatest gifts to the galactic community.